Walker Ray didn't believe in forever peace. He stood in his office aboard Sky Station 11, a massive station floating high above Earth. The view outside was beautiful. Earth turned slowly below, a ball of blue and white. Everything looked peaceful, safe, perfect. But Walker didn't trust how perfect it looked. For most people in the year 5025, peace was all they had ever known. Earth hadn't seen war in over 3,000 years. Humanity had expanded across the stars. Colonies flourished. Technology had solved hunger, disease, and even aging. People lived easy, long lives. But Walker Ray wasn't like most people. He was 32 years old, smart, calm, always watching. He worked as a galactic defense strategist, one of the few people whose job was to study threats no one believed existed. And lately, one thing had his full attention: the Zarn Dominion. Walker turned away from the window and faced a wall of screens. Each one showed different parts of the galaxy: ship traffic, energy readings, patrol logs. Most of the screens showed nothing unusual, but one blinked red: Sector 7G, Outer Rim, Jarn Space. The Zarn hadn't made any direct moves. No attacks, no threats, just slow, quiet movements. One ship here, two more there. Patrol routes slightly different than before. They were probing, watching, testing. Walker narrowed his eyes. He tapped the screen. A live feed from a long-range satellite zoomed in on a massive Zarn cruiser. It hovered near an abandoned relay station. No weapons active, just watching. He didn't like it. "Ryo," he called. A soft blue orb of light floated up from his desk. It was his AI assistant, calm, loyal, and far too optimistic for Walker's taste. "Yes, Walker." "Any updates on Zarn movement?" he asked. Ryo paused for half a second. "One new ship entered Sector 7G. No change in energy output. Still no direct contact." Walker folded his arms. "So they're still pretending nothing's happening." "The Peace Council agrees," Ryo said. "No signs of hostile intent." Walker laughed under his breath. "They never see it until it's too late." He turned back to the screens. Every instinct he had was screaming that something was coming. He didn't know when, but it was close. He sat down at his desk and opened a report. "Open a new file," he said. "Title: Zarn Activity Rising. Urgent Alert. Mark it high priority." Walker, Ryo said carefully, "This will be your fourth alert this year. The Council is already ignoring your last three." "I know," he replied. "Send it anyway." He looked over at a small picture frame on his desk. Inside was an old photo: his mentor, Commander Idris, shaking hands with a Zarn leader centuries ago. That handshake had ended the last war. Walker respected peace. He just didn't trust it to last. He remembered what Idris once told him: "Peace is earned, but it must also be defended." "Ryo," Walker said, standing again, "begin silent surveillance on all known Zarn patrol paths. No alerts, just tracking." "Understood." Outside the station, stars blinked quietly. The Earth turned. People slept peacefully below, unaware of what might be heading their way. Walker stared out into the stars. Somewhere out there the Zarn were watching, and so was he. The silence ended with a single sound, an alert tone Walker had never heard before. He was eating a simple lunch in the observation deck of Sky Station 11. The room was quiet. Stars filled the wide windows. Other officers chatted softly. Then the alert tone echoed through the station. Sharp, urgent, different. Walker froze. So did everyone else. "Incoming galactic broadcast," said a mechanical voice over the intercom. "All stations, all networks, priority level 1. Everyone turned to the center screen in the room. It flickered, then filled with static. Slowly, an image came into focus. A face appeared. It was not human. The creature's skin was dark gray, smooth, like metal. Its yellow eyes glowed. Its jawline was sharp, and thick black armor covered its chest and shoulders. Symbols moved behind it in the background. Sarn writing. Walker stood slowly. He knew who this was. Lord Varnock, High Commander of the Zarn Dominion. The alien spoke. His voice was deep and cold, translated by the station's system. To the people of Earth, you have grown soft in your long peace. You drift among stars like children, blind to the strength that once built your empire. You forgot what power means. But we remember. The Sarn remember. Gasps filled the room. Some people looked confused, others afraid. Walker didn't move, he just watched. Quiet, focused. For 3,000 years, we waited. We watched as you played diplomat, builder and trader. You gave up strength for comfort. Now the time for games is over. We do not come to talk. We do not come to warn. We come to conquer. The screen flickered again. Then a map appeared. An outline of the galaxy. Bright red marks flashed over human colonies on the edge of known space. The outer sectors were already under attack. Ships, dozens of them, moving fast. Then the screen went dark. Silence. No music. No message of peace. Just a cold, direct declaration of war. Walker looked around. Officers were already rushing to terminals, contacting command centers. The calm of the station shattered in seconds. But Walker didn't panic. He just smirked. He turned and walked quickly to the elevator. Ryo floating beside him. "Did you see the ship formations?" he asked. "Yes," Ryo replied. "They entered from 3 directions. They're targeting communication relays and fuel depots first. Classic invasion pattern," Walker muttered. "They've been planning this for a long time." He entered the command center. The room lit up with screens, glowing maps and flashing alerts. Officers shouted across the room. Systems activated. For the first time in centuries, Earth's emergency defense network came online. Walker stepped to the center console. He tapped a few buttons and pulled up Earth's secret defense logs. Hidden satellites, cloaked ships, silent weapons. All the systems he had quietly pushed for over the years. Nobody had believed they would be needed. Until now. A general appeared on one of the screens. Her face was pale. "Walker Ray," she said. "You were right." "I know," he answered calmly. "But we're not too late." She stared at him. "Can we stop them?" Walker smiled slightly. "We don't just stop them, we surprise them." He tapped into the first response system. Human ships, hidden near colony routes, began to move. High-speed defense drones launched from moons. AI-controlled fighters, powered up from secret bases. For centuries, peace had been Earth's way of life. But quietly in the shadows, Walker had built for war. Because he always knew the day would come. And now that day had arrived. The Zarn moved fast, but Earth moved faster. Within hours of Lord Varnok's message, Earth's hidden defenses lit up across the galaxy. For centuries the Peace Council had told the people that war was a thing of the past. But behind closed doors, quiet minds like Walker Ray had planned for this exact moment. The Peace Defense Network, PDN, was never meant to be public. It was built in silence, funded in shadows, and maintained by a handful of trusted minds. Now it was fully awake. Walker stood at the center of Sky Station 11's command room, eyes locked on the battle feeds. Dozens of screens showed real-time action across different colonies. "Status report," Walker said. Ryo, now hovering brighter than usual, responded instantly. "Zarn forces have reached Colony E9. Civilians are being evacuated underground. Our cloaked defense drones have engaged. Enemy ships did not detect them until impact." A screen flashed, Zarn warships exploding in silent fireballs. Defense drones zipped through space like wasps. Fast, deadly, and accurate. The enemy had expected an easy victory. They were wrong. In another corner of space, a hidden Earth cruiser called Shadow Lance dropped out of stealth and attacked a Zarn supply fleet. The blast shook 3 enemy ships before they could even react. Walker leaned forward, speaking calmly. "Do not aim to destroy. Aim to cripple. We show them we're prepared, not desperate." Across the command deck, officers worked with focus. Everyone was tense, but no one panicked. They followed Walker's lead. For the first time in 3,000 years, Earth was at war, and it wasn't losing. Meanwhile, far from Earth, Lord Varnok stood on the bridge of his flagship. The Dreadfire. His yellow eyes narrowed as reports came in. "What is this?" he growled, voice sharp. "They have weapons. Fleets. Drones. They were supposed to be soft." A Zarn officer stepped forward. "We underestimated their readiness, my lord. Their systems were hidden. Their responses coordinated." Varnock clenched a fist. "They lied about their peace. They pretended to be weak." The officer hesitated. "Shall we retreat and regroup?" Varnock's voice turned cold. "No. We push forward. I will not be mocked by humans." Back on Sky Station 11, Walker watched the enemy's next move. The Zarn had doubled their ships. More were jumping in from deep space. They were angry now. "They're not pulling back," Ryo said. "They're sending their full fleet." Walker nodded. "Good. Let them come. We'll show them what real peace looks like." On his command, defense satellites in orbit around major colonies activated. They looked like ordinary communication arrays, until their panels opened and revealed heavy plasma cannons. In Colony T-14, surface cannons rose from beneath gardens and parks. Drones flew in tight swarms, protecting civilians and disabling Zarn dropships before they could land. Humanity didn't fight to destroy. It fought to protect. That difference mattered, and Walker made sure it showed in every move. As battles raged across the stars, something else began to happen. Zarn soldiers, tough, trained warriors, were confused. How did the humans hide so much power? How did they plan all this without anyone knowing? They started to doubt. Not all of them, but enough. On one enemy channel, a young Zarn pilot sent a message to his commander. "They were ready for us. This isn't weakness. This is control." Walker saw the message. He smiled slightly. Seeds of doubt were being planted. The first wave of attacks had failed. Earth's colonies still stood. Walker took a deep breath and spoke into the central comms. His voice went out to every defense leader, every soldier, every ship. "We do not attack to conquer. We defend what we built. We've had peace for 3,000 years. Let's make sure we earn 3,000 more." The crew cheered. For the first time since the war started, they believed not just in survival, but in victory. The stars were quiet again, for a moment. After Earth's strong defense, the Zarn fleet paused. They weren't retreating, but they weren't charging either. They had expected fear, surrender. Instead, they found a wall of strategy, strength, and precision. Inside Sky Station 11, Walker Ray stood in the war room staring at a display of the galaxy. Blue dots showed human colonies. Red ones showed Zarn fleets. Too many red dots were still moving. "Any word from the Peace Council?" he asked. Ryo hovered beside him. "It's light dimmer than usual. They request a new plan, one that ends this quickly. They want full-scale counterattack options." Walker frowned. "They want to wipe out the enemy now." Ryo answered gently. "Yes, their patience is fading." Walker turned away from the screen. He didn't like the direction this was going. For years he had warned about this war. Now that it was here, people were scared, and scared people wanted easy answers. The problem was, easy answers caused hard regrets. He sat at his desk and opened a hidden file. Protocol Hammerfall. It was a powerful attack plan. Hundreds of stealth missiles, direct strikes on the Zarn's homeworld. Clean, fast, brutal. With one command, Walker could launch it. The Peace Council would approve it in seconds. But he didn't. Instead, he stared at the file. Then he looked up at the old photo on his desk. Commander Idris, shaking hands with the Zarn diplomat. That handshake had ended the last war. Walker remembered something else Idris once said. "Victory without values is just a slower kind of defeat." He stood and walked to the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly outside. Somewhere out there, people were dying. Both sides. Not just soldiers. Innocents too. Was peace still possible? Or had they already crossed the line? Elsewhere, Lord Varnock was not debating anything. He was furious. On the bridge of the Dreadfire, he paced like a caged beast. "They embarrassed us," he growled. "This is not a war. It is a lesson. And I am the teacher." He ordered a new attack, not against military targets, but a civilian energy hub. Nova Station 5, a peaceful colony with no weapons. His generals hesitated. That station holds non-combatants. Varnok's eyes burned. So, let them learn that peace has a price. Back on Sky Station 11, the warning came in seconds before impact. Unarmed civilian colony under attack, Ryo reported. Nova Station 5, total destruction. No survivors. Walker closed his eyes. His jaw tightened. The moral line had been crossed, but not by Earth. He opened the Hammerfall file again. His finger hovered over the launch button. The choice was now in his hands. Are we becoming them? He asked quietly. Ryo said nothing. Walker didn't launch the attack. Instead, he called a meeting with all sector commanders. When the screen lit up with faces, Walker looked straight at them and spoke clearly. The Zarn want us to become monsters. That's their trap. We win by staying human. We protect. We defend. We don't destroy what we've promised to protect. Not even for revenge. One commander asked, "Then what do we do?" Walker replied, "We think smarter, not harder." He paused, then added, "I'm going to end this, but we'll do it the right way." Walker had a new plan, one he had kept hidden, even from the Peace Council. It wasn't about killing the enemy. It was about breaking their will, without losing his soul in the process. Walker Ray's plan was ready. It wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, but it was smart. And it would work. For days, Earth had defended itself, striking only when needed. The Zarn grew more confused with each failed attack. Their soldiers fought hard, but they didn't understand why humans hadn't responded with full force. That confusion was exactly what Walker needed. Inside Sky Station 11's war room, Walker stood in front of the galaxy map. The Zarn fleets were spread out, moving between human colonies. They believed Earth was still holding back its true weapons. They were right. "Begin Operation Mirrornet," Walker said calmly. All across space, Earth's hidden fleet moved. Stealth cruisers, signal jammers, and gravity beacons took position. Slowly and quietly, they built a trap. A massive web of gravity fields, cloaked ships, and false signals, all leading the Zarn straight into a dead zone. At its center was a massive wormhole generator, a secret project Walker had worked on for years. It didn't destroy ships. It relocated them, instantly, without warning. Ryo hovered nearby, its voice soft. "Wormhole trap is active. Bait ships in position. Enemy scanning routes are being manipulated." Walker nodded. "Good. Let's lead them in." Meanwhile, aboard the Dreadfire, Lord Varnok studied his maps. "Their ships are thinning near Sector 9. One of his officers said. "They may be retreating." Varnok smiled. "Then we strike where they are weakest." He ordered his ships to move in. Over 50 of them, all heading straight into the Mirrornet. One by one, the Zarn ships followed the path Earth had set. They didn't know they were flying into a field of invisible gravity traps and signal distortions. When they reached the center, Walker gave the order. "Activate the wormhole." In seconds, the space around the Zarn fleet shimmered. Light twisted. Space folded. Without a single explosion, the enemy ships vanished, transported light years away into a locked, empty part of the galaxy. No communication, no weapons, just silence. The Zarn had been removed from the war without a single shot fired. Back on the Dreadfire, Varnok stared in disbelief as screen after screen went dark. His fleet, gone. No explosions. No distress signals. Just, gone. "What happened?" he shouted. "Unknown, my lord," an officer said. "All ships lost. No trace." Varnok slammed his fist against the console. "They tricked us. They didn't fight. They erased us." At Sky Station 11, Walker watched the results calmly. The Zarn now had only a few scattered ships. Their greatest force had vanished. The rest of the galaxy was watching. It was time for the next move. Walker sent a signal, not a weapon, but a broadcast. "Message to all Zarn forces. Your commander has led you into failure. You are not hated. You are not hunted. But you are no longer feared. Your war is over. Go home." The message spread fast. Some Zarn ignored it. Others hesitated, and some stopped fighting. One by one Zarn captains turned off their weapons. They had seen enough, not of destruction, but of power used with control. The tide had turned, not because of firepower, but because of discipline. In the war room, a young officer looked at Walker. "They're standing down. We might win this without destroying them." Walker gave a small smile. That was always the plan. He knew one thing for sure. Lord Varnock wouldn't surrender. But now he was alone. Lord Varnock was furious. He stood alone on the bridge of the Dreadfire, watching as more Zarn ships shut down their weapons and drifted away. His fleet was broken. His soldiers were refusing to fight. Messages flooded in from commanders. "We no longer trust this war." Humanity was prepared. "They defeated us without hate." Varnock growled in frustration. "They fooled you all. They made you weak." His second-in-command, a quiet but loyal officer, finally spoke up. "No, my lord. They made us think. That is something we forgot." Varnock's eyes narrowed. "They will pay for this insult. I will strike Earth myself." He activated the final weapon aboard the Dreadfire, a powerful core bomb, hidden deep inside the ship. It could destroy a station the size of a city. Varnock had no army left, but he still had pride, and he was ready to use it. Back at Sky Station 11, the sensors lit up. "Dreadfire is on the move," Ryo said. "It's charging an unknown energy source, high danger level." Walker Ray already knew what that meant. "He's going to try one last strike," Walker said. "He's lost the war, but he wants to take something down with him." He moved fast. A squadron of stealth ships was already nearby. He sent a direct order. "Intercept, disable engines. Do not destroy unless necessary." Walker opened a direct line to Varnock's ship. For the first time the two leaders spoke face to face. The screen blinked on. Varnock glared at him. "You hide behind tricks," Varnock growled. "You fight without honor." Walker's voice was calm. "You wanted chaos. We chose control. That's the difference between us." Varnock sneered. "You call this victory? I still have fire to burn." Walker leaned in slightly. "You're alone, Varnock. Your people are turning back. Your war is over." Varnock's ship shook as Earth's stealth fighters locked onto it. The energy core on the Dreadfire began to overheat. One more spark, and it would explode. Walker paused, then said something unexpected. "Stand down, Varnock. Surrender. Live to see what peace really looks like." There was a long silence. Varnock looked at the screen, at the stars, at the empty command bridge. His pride cracked, just a little. And then, he shut down the core. The war was over, not with explosions, not with blood, but with restraint. Back on Earth, people celebrated. Not just because they were safe, but because they had proven something important. Peace wasn't weakness. It was strength held back until the right moment. A week later, Walker Ray sat once again in his office. The stars outside were peaceful, calm. He took a sip of his coffee and looked at the galaxy map. No red dots, no blinking alerts, just light and quiet. Ryo hovered nearby. "The Peace Council sends thanks. The colonies are stable. The Dizarn have withdrawn." Walker nodded. "Good. Will they return?" Ryo asked. Walker smiled a little. "Maybe, but if they do, we'll be ready." That's the difference now. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes for a moment. The war hadn't broken him. It had proven him right. But more than that, it had shown humanity something powerful. Strength isn't just about fighting. It's about knowing when not to. He opened his eyes again and whispered with a smirk. "Told you I didn't trust peace to last forever."